Okay. There is no difference. Jermaine, that's a great question. That's an excellent question, Jermaine. Wow. Wow. You're very perceptive, Jermaine. So I'll show you. There is no difference, Jermaine, between a big X and a small x. X just means present, and sometimes I use big X's or small x's. If you have an X, I've marked you present for attendance. So let me just add, oh, I need to lock the room too. Lock the room. And record. So I see Bosco, you're here as well. Just quickly add that. And I think that's it. Okay. So again, there's no difference between a big X and a small x. So this is what I have planned for us this week. One, we're going to review the quiz that some of you took, and that was your homework. It was due yesterday. So I noted 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of you took the quiz alongside a few students from other classes, and we'll review the answers. So we'll try that today. At the same time, I think this week we will also start writing a letter of advice. Okay. So we'll start writing an email of advice. So we're going to review today's the quiz. Then we're going to review an email of advice. And I think we'll continue writing that email of advice this week. So here we go. Let's go to the quiz. All right, so it's Unit 8, page 98, online advice column. If you want, here is the textbook. I'll put it in our chat. Click on that. You should be able to view it. And let's go through the answers one by one, systematically. I'll go to page 98 too. Page 98. Okay, here we are, page 98. And go. Let's go to the first question. Okay, so people were able to put their names, classes, and class numbers. Looks pretty good. What is a useful tool in line 2? So taking a look at all 7 responses, most or The most frequent response is social media. Okay, so let's find the answer. Let's go to line 2 and find useful tool. Sorry about that. Line 2. A useful tool. And I agree. Social media. So whenever we see is an equal sign. So social media equals a useful tool. Ta-da! That's pretty easy. Before I forget, let me reemphasize what the learning targets are. So the learning targets of this exercise are one, actually, they're more specific targets. It's a little more specific than this. One, I can refer to information in a sentence. Two, I can refer to information in a previous sentence. Three, I can refer to information in previous sentences. Those are the actual learning targets. Sorry about that. So are you able to find the answer? I'm going to actually change that. In a passage. So going back to our first question, can you just find the answer in the sentence? And the answer is in the sentence, social media. Now let's move on. What is a serious problem in line 4? And now we're going back to question 4. Ooh, so most people think social media addiction. You see the difference here is just the capital S. What is a serious problem in line 4? So let's go to line 4 and check the serious problem. Okay. A serious problem. So we see a serious problem in line 4. Back to the question. And we see social media addiction can be a serious problem. And I agree. So you find the answer within the same sentence. So serious problem refers to social media addiction. How can you tell? You can substitute words. So social media addiction tears relationships apart. That makes sense. So nice job. It's pretty easy for some of you. Let's get to the next question. What tears relationships apart? In lines 4 and 5. So we have different answers. And I think 1 or 2 are acceptable. This goes back to referencing. Let's go to lines 4 and 5. Tears relationships apart. Now, you have to look back at that, a relative pronoun. Tears relationships apart. So tears relationships apart is being connected to other information in the sentence using that. So what tears relationships apart? That. What does that refer to? It can refer to a serious problem. But wait, didn't we just have another question where we define what a serious problem is? Yes. So social media addiction tears relationships apart. In this way, I think there are 2 possible answers. 1 is social media addiction. And 2, a serious problem. I think both are acceptable. Ultimately, you have to see with your eye that connects, tears relationships apart with something else in the sentence. Are there any questions thus far? Right now, we're just testing learning target 1. Can you just find information in a sentence? So all of the information is there in a sentence. Next. What does your refer to in line 6? And we have we have a variety of answers in line 6. Okay. Line 6. Your wife. Who is you in this passage? Let's call on someone. Angelica, who is you?
I think you is a worried husband.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So you is worried husband. This letter is being sent to worried husband. So when the writer says you, the writer means worried husband. But wait, it's not you, it's your. And your is possessive. Okay. So your is not you. Your is not you. Your and you have different meanings. Okay, you're close, Jaden. You're just a little confused. You included one too many words. Try that again and take one word out. Your is possessive. Okay, good, Jaden. So in this case, your equals worried husbands. And the apostrophe, you may want to repeat after me. One use of the apostrophe is to indicate possession. They own something. And depending on how you use it, it has different meanings. So, worried husband is not worried husbands, is not worried husbands, is not worried husbands. So do you see those 4 versions of worried husband and worried husbands? They actually all have different meanings because of the apostrophe. Well, first because of the S and then the apostrophe. So your refers to singular possessive, which is worried husbands. Nice job, guys. Let's continue. Oh, any questions? Okay. Her. We have, oh no. Oh man. Her. Okay. Got husband's wife. Worried husband. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Okay. So it seems like it's referring to wife. Okay. Let's check it out. Line 6. Her refers to your wife, which refers to worried husband's wife. Now, here's a clue. I don't know if you guys know this, but a husband is a man. A wife is a woman. Her refers to a woman's possession. His refers to a man's possession. So in English, some of our words indicate male and female, man and woman. And her is a female singular possessive pronoun. So her tells you 1, it's a woman. 2, only one woman. 3, she owns something. All right. Oh, I'm sorry, it's being used as an object. I'm sorry. There's another meaning of her, okay? So her tells you in this case, it's a woman and it's singular, all right? So her refers to your wife, so tell your wife. Talk to your wife and tell your wife. And who is your wife? Worried husband's wife. Worried husband's wife equals your wife equals her. questions? Okay, let's keep going. Oh, sorry about that. What does you, okay, we've done this before, line 6, refer to? Oh my gosh. All right, it seems like 4 people responded husband, 1 person responded wife, 1 person seems a little confused, and another person seems a little confused. So let's go to you, line 6. Okay. So as Angelica said, you in this letter refers to worried husband. Next. What does she refer to in line 7? Husband's wife, 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 wife. Okay, looks pretty straightforward. Line 7. So just like her, she refers to a female, a woman. She refers to a person. Okay, so 1, she means 1. She means female or woman. Let her know that you think she might be addicted to social media. And what does she refer to? Her, your wife. Okay. So you can see all of these different words and phrases all refer to the same person. You think she, worried husband's wife. All of these are the same thing. Worried husband's wife. She equals her equals wife. They're all words that refer to the same person. Any questions? Now let's go to there. There means more than one. And we see people. We see apostrophe. Oh my gosh. Okay, so we see this. And again, the apostrophe is very important. People is not peoples. They're different. The meaning is different. All right. Now, there is usually a possessive plural pronoun. So let's check out line 15 there. So we see there. Whose smartphones. People's smartphones. So again, there is possessive. Whose smartphones equals people's smartphones. So can help people stay away from people's smartphones. Let's move on. What does them refer to? Again, them is more than one. Uh-oh. Okay. Here we go. There seems to be some confusion here. We see family. Okay. Well, it seems like one family. Uh-oh. We see photos. More than one. And then we see photo. Just one. So again, photo is not photos. The meaning is different because there's an S. That changes the meaning of the word. So let's check it out. Line 19 then. Them. Okay. So let's take a look at the information in the sentence to see if we can find the answer. Instead of taking photos of food and sharing them online. Here we are. Photos. More than one. Instead of taking photos of food and sharing photos of food online. Makes sense. So I think in this case, them is photos of food. On. What does it refer to in line 19? It, singular. Should be one thing. Okay. So it seems like this one was pretty easy. It seems everyone or most people put down food, the food. Someone is confused and another person is confused. But it seems like the majority of respondents, the people who took this quiz, are not confused. That's pretty good. So let's take a look. Line 19, it's. It's, okay. Eat the food slowly and share the food with your close friends and family. So it equals let's quickly go over. We're almost done. What does I refer to? Okay, great. Oh my gosh. Most of the respondents are not confused. But a few are very confused. I refers to person, singular person. one person. So, in this case, I, it's line 24, or line 22. I. Dr. Ayush, who is I? Okay, Dr. Ayush, who is the writer? I equals the writer, which equals fairy godmother. Jaden beat you to the punch, Dr. Ayush. A lot of tears. So I refers to the fairy godmother. So in a letter, we usually find the writer at the end. So if we take a look at the structure of a letter, I'm going to zoom out. And the structure of a letter, if you don't actually write a sentence to explain who you or who the writer is, you'll generally find it over here. That's the writer. That's who I refers to. At the beginning of a letter, you usually find out who the recipient is of the letter, and therefore you figure out who you refers to. So we see that there are two parties here. Worried husband has the letter, is reading it. That's you in this letter. And fairy godmother is the writer, sent it to worried husband. Fairy godmother is I in the letter. So you can usually find the you, the receiver, at the beginning of a letter. You can usually find I, or the writer of the letter, at the end of the letter. Okay. For an online advice column, put the URL in the text below. What is the title of the advice column? Okay, good. Who is the writer of the advice column? What is the publication date of the advice column? No? Okay, good. Any questions? Now we're going to go through these links. Let's actually see what these are. So let's see how this loads. Okay, sorry about that. Life and style. Okay. So this, when I look at this does not look like an advice column. It's an article about advice columns. Okay. So this person's a little confused. The person sees online advice columns like, I'm done. But actually, this is an article, or it's more of an editorial. It's not an online advice column. When you read the article, as I skimmed it, this information here does not look like this information. It's different. So someone's a little confused as to what an online advice column is. They can't tell the difference between an article and an online advice column. Okay, nice try. Still, nice try. Okay. Okay. Let's try this one here. Uh-oh. Someone's really confused. Okay. So this is Wikipedia. And it has a page, the article page. Do you see the word article here? The article title is called social media. It begins with social media. So this person's also confused. The person thinks Wikipedia is an online advice column. They're not the same. If you take a look at the layout of the page and the words on the page, it does not look anything at all like this. This person's confused. So we're 0 for 2 right now. 0 for 2. So far, total failure. Trying to find an online advice column. Okay, let's try it again. Dear Hoopers. Dear Hoopers. Okay, here we go. So what I'm seeing here is one, I see advice. I see dear. These are actually two things that I also see here. I see the word advice. I see dear. I see advice. Okay, so far so good. Partner's sexual guilt. Hello. Okay. Okay. Oh, good. Okay, so when we take a look at this, taking questions. So the purpose of an online advice column is to provide advice. People need to ask questions, and then people provide advice. They try to answer questions. So it seems like there are many different columns. I'm not sure how I'd actually call, maybe correspondence, or many letters. So let's go with divorce with regret. So there are many different letters in this column. Great. So we're starting to see certain features that we saw over here. For instance, we actually see a date. We see a title. So, in the same way, we see a date and a title. Oh, this is pretty good, guys. We're getting somewhere. So this looks pretty good. Okay, great. So you see the correspondence, the letters. Dear Hoopers, so divorce with regret is writing to Dear Hoopers, and you see divorce with regret is I. Okay, I. Great. And then you see the response. Dr. Ryan is writing to Dear Divorce with Regret. Super. That's awesome. I'm really, really happy. This is the first online advice column that we've found so far. Who did this? 2A. Awesome. 2A. Go 2A. That was great. So far, we're 1 for 3. So 1 out of the 3 students who took this quiz can actually find an online advice column. Are there any questions right now? I'm thinking about making a quiz for you guys, and I might just show you a picture and ask you if it's an online advice column or not. I think before we even write an email of advice, you should be able to find an online advice column. This is a sample advice column. This person is close, but still confused. Here's the clue. See WikiHow. You see the word sample. I mean, the person sees advice column, they think they're done. But it's not actually an advice column. It's WikiHow, like Wikipedia. They're not the same. WikiHow is not an advice column. Okay. And the key is looking at wiki and sample and preview. So I'm not convinced that this is an online advice column. That is an authentic one. It's an example of an advice column. So I think that doesn't count. I'd say 1 out of 4. Can we find an actual? If I could do it again, I'd say actual online advice column. Okay. Oh, Dear Hoopers. Okay. All right. So people know Dear Hoopers. Oh boy, here we go. So let's say 2 out of 5. Dear Hoopers. Monsano. Monsenso. Okay, let's see. Okay. So when I look at this web page, I see some features. Like I see a date, okay. I see a title, okay. But then I see something here like by Jennifer Highland. I don't see advice. I see other words like solution, users, partners, resources, company, which I think refers to Monsenso, and contact us. So while I see some features of an online advice column, I also see some unfamiliar words. Thank you, Jaden. I agree. Just to digress, Jaden's very caring and doesn't want me to overcharge my laptop because that can actually ruin the battery life. As far as I know, with regard to Macs, um, when the charge reaches 100%, the software tells the battery to stop charging. So insofar as I know about Mac laptops, I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the Mac will not charge, but I could be wrong. And it still could be charging now and destroying the battery life of my laptop. So thank you, Jaden, for your concern. Okay, so so this doesn't appear to be an online advice column, not least because we don't know who you is. It's by Jennifer, but I don't see anything here. If you take a look at the bottom, you also see references. What is this section? I don't actually see who the writer isn't at the bottom of his letter. So this doesn't actually seem like an online advice column, at least in the way that we're learning about online advice columns. Okay, so this actually looks a lot different from this. So I'm going to say 2 out of 6. And then we'll do the last one. Oh no. Oh no. And we have the same problem. This is not an online advice. Okay, so we actually see that out of the 7 participants, 2 were able to find an online advice column. actual online advice column. I think I may give you a quiz tomorrow to so that we can determine if something is an online advice column or not. Are there any questions? No? Okay, so I think tomorrow I'm going to give you a quiz, maybe a Kahoot, I'll show you like pictures of things, and you need to tell me whether or not it's an actual online advice column. And I'll try to show you these features. So we should know, one, the dates, we should have a title, we should have a recipient, and we should have a writer. At the very least, we should know these features. Okay, that's it. We're done. Nice job today, and we'll take a